You know, it feels like just yesterday that your home network was just a single Wi-Fi router for your laptop, right? Well, those days are long, long gone. Today, our homes are jam-packed with servers, IoT gadgets, home labs, you name it. And this explosion of devices means we have to completely, and I mean completely, rethink how we keep them safe. All right, let's get right into it.
So, let me start with a question that really gets to the heart of the matter. That cheap smart plug you bought on Amazon, your smart TV, maybe even one of your light bulbs, could it actually be a secret backdoor into your entire digital life? And the scary part? The answer is absolutely yes. A single, forgotten, compromised gadget can be all an attacker needs to get in.
And that realization leads us to a pretty stark conclusion. The old way of thinking about security, building a really strong wall to keep the bad guys out, while just kind of trusting everything on the inside, it's over. It's dead. The whole castle and moat idea is broken because, well, the biggest threats might already be inside the castle walls with you.
Yeah, your home network just isn't a trusted space anymore. It's this messy, complex little ecosystem full of untrusted IoT devices, servers that face the public internet, and maybe a home lab where you're running all sorts of experiments. Because of all that, the job description for your firewall has been flipped on its head. It's not just about protecting the inside from the outside anymore. Now it's about protecting the inside from itself.
So this brings us to the new philosophy, the guiding principle for all modern security, and it's simple. Never trust, always verify. This idea, borrowed from the big enterprise world, is so powerful, it just means you don't automatically trust any device or user. It doesn't matter if they're inside or outside your network. You verify everything, every single time, no exceptions.
So how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? Well, the modern gold standard for security isn't some single product you can just go out and buy. It's a whole strategy, a new kind of architecture that's built on 3 distinct but totally complementary pillars.
And here they are, the big 3. First up, segmentation. Think of this as building internal walls inside your castle to stop attackers from running wild. Second, we have threat management. This is like posting intelligent guards at the gates who actually inspect what's coming and going. And third, there's zero trust access, which is like creating secret, invisible tunnels so attackers can't even find your front door to begin with.
Okay, let's talk about Pillar 1, building those internal walls. This is absolutely foundational. Instead of having one big, flat, open-plan network where every single device can see and talk to every other device, we use technology to create these logically isolated zones. It's just like the bulkheads in a ship, right? If one compartment floods, the rest of the ship stays afloat. It's the same idea.
And the main tool we use for this magic trick is the VLAN, which stands for Virtual Local Area Network. Basically, it's a clever way to use software to digitally slice and dice your network into multiple separate zones. And by default, these zones can't talk to each other at all, even if all the devices are plugged into the very same physical switch. Pretty cool, huh?
And this right here is what those zones actually look like in practice. You'd have a trusted zone for your personal computers and phones, the important stuff. Then you'd create a completely separate, walled-off IoT zone for all those cheap, probably insecure smart gadgets. You'd have another one for your servers, and maybe even a sandbox zone for risky experiments that you want totally isolated from everything else.
All right, so we've built our internal walls. Awesome. But what about the traffic that we do need to let through? I mean, things still need to talk to each other sometimes. That's exactly where pillars 2 and 3 come in. Posting those smart guards to inspect the traffic and building secret tunnels to get inside instead of using a big public front door.
And this is the whole point of Pillar 2. Your old firewall is like a not-so-bright bouncer at a club. It just checks IDs, IP addresses and ports, but it's super easy to fool. A next-generation firewall, on the other hand, does deep packet inspection. It actually understands applications. It knows the difference between your kids streaming Netflix and a piece of malware trying to phone home to its command center. That's a game changer.
And for Pillar 3, well, this comparison says it all. The old way, port forwarding, was insane when you think about it. You were literally punching a hole in your firewall, creating this massive public bullseye for anyone on the internet to scan and attack. The new zero trust way? Zero. Open ports. Your services are completely invisible to the public internet. If they can't find you, they can't attack you. Simple as that. Okay, so we get the strategy, right? The 3 pillars make sense. But how do we actually build this thing? Well, there are really 3 main paths you can go down.
You can run your firewall on a dedicated piece of hardware, which we call bare metal. You can run it as a virtual machine, or you can just buy an all-in-one prosumer box that does it all for you.
What I love about this slide is that it's basically your cheat sheet. It boils this entire complex decision down to what you care about most, because there's no single best answer for everyone. If you want maximum, rock-solid stability, bare metal's your guy. If cost is your #1 driver, well, virtualized is the cheapest. But if you just want something that works right out of the box with zero fuss, you go for a prosumer appliance. This matrix is your guide. But I have to give you a big warning about that virtualized option because it has this one critical, potentially deal-breaking flaw. It's called the VNF catch-22. Think about it. If you need to reboot your main server for an update or something, your firewall, which is just a virtual machine running on that server, goes down too. And if something goes wrong with the reboot, you have no network, which means you have no way to access the server to fix it. It is a true chicken and egg nightmare.
So, after weighing all the pros, all the cons, the catch-22s, what's the final verdict? What's the recommended gold standard build for someone who really wants top-tier performance and security heading into 2025?
The recommendation is actually a hybrid approach that grabs the best bits from all the different options. First, a dedicated bare metal box, like a little Intel N100 mini PC running OpenSense, which is a super powerful open source firewall. That gives you that rock-solid stability. Then, you add a commercial plugin called ZenArmor, which gives you all those user-friendly next-gen threat management features. And finally, for remote access, you use a service like Tailscale or Cloudflare Tunnels to create those secret tunnels, completely getting rid of your public attack service.
You know, this all leads to a really interesting, forward-looking idea. The very concept of a single box in your house that does everything is starting to fade away. What we're seeing is a disaggregation of the firewall, where all its individual jobs are being broken apart and handled by more specialized services, a lot of them running in the cloud.
Which leaves us with this one last kind of provocative question to chew on. As these zero-trust tools and cloud platforms get better and smarter and easier to use, is that traditional firewall box sitting in our homes already obsolete? Is its future just to be a simple, dumb, fast router, while all the real security intelligence lives somewhere else entirely? Definitely something to think about.